Hello, thank you for watching this heart reflection. It's a reflection for the soul, your higher self. My name is Brother Sean and I'm a member of the Teo community of Interfaith Franciscans, a group of ordinary men and women who are on a spiritual journey and who embrace the simplicity of Francis of Assisi. But we also embrace the old Celtic tradition, like St. Francis, where we come to God not in vast ornate churches, temples or synagogues, but in nature. And we do this by living from our monastery without walls, where there are no rules and regulations, where we've got to be up at 5 and in bed by 9. We set the agenda and we draw up our own rule of life. But we come together as a cyber community for morning and evening prayer, for a peace vigil at 8 in the evening, and those who are awake, our midnight soiree. The purpose of this short video is to reflect on the words from Eckhart Tolle in his amazing little book, Stillness Speaks. Most people's lives are run by desire and fear. Can I ask a question of your heart? Is your life governed by desire or fear? Are you living a life of pretense? Keeping up appearances? We had an amazing sitcom here on British TV called Keeping Up Appearances. And the character Mrs. Bouquet, I called her Mrs. Bucket. One always finds in one's life a Mrs. Bouquet. Oh, she was the queen of etiquette. Everything was precision perfect. Going for afternoon tea was an assault course. She overwhelmed you with self, with ego, and But is your life journey on the spiritual path strewn by fear and delusions of grandeur? I know in this world today many people put a lot of emphasis on keeping up appearances, the haves and the have-nots. If next door has Venetian blinds, then you must have them. If next door has an old singing, old swinging surround system, you must have it. If they have a new car on the drive, you must follow. There's this attitude that you must not be outdone by others. And if your income is low, how do you furnish that lifestyle? Well, there's only one guess: dishonesty. Let's reflect on the words. Most people's lives are run by desire and fear. Desire is the need to add something to yourself in order to be yourself more fully. All fear is the fear of losing something and thereby becoming diminished and being less. These two movements obscure the fact that being cannot be given or taken away. Being in its fullness is already within you now. Are you aware that before you were born, you lived in another dimension of energy as a spirit of pure love? I can hear you now saying, oh, get away. Excuse me, you're one of these New Age travelers. Well, I'm not New Age. I'm old age. It took me many years to fathom it out, that I was asked to come here. I was shown my Akashic records, and I was guided by the angels who oversee the Akashic records to return to earth, no pressure, and choose my life, choose everything that has happened or will happen in my life. From my sex, to my parents, to my brothers and sisters, to what I work as, to illness, tragedy, all of that. I chose it. And now that I know I've chosen it, I don't whinge, moan or groan the same. Prior to that knowledge, God, I would bore one senseless with my moaning and groaning. Let me read this to you. By knowing yourself as the awareness in which phenomenal existence happens, you become free of dependency on phenomena and free of self-seeking in situations, places and conditions. In other words, what happens or doesn't happen is not that important anymore. Things lose their heaviness, their seriousness. A playfulness comes back into your life. You recognize this. World is a cosmic dance. The dance of form, no more and no less. And when you know who you truly are, there is an abiding, alive sense of peace. You could call it joy because that's what it is, and that's what joy is. Vibrantly alive peace. It is the joy of knowing yourself as the very life essence before life takes on form. That is the joy of being who you truly are. So today you have a choice to carry on living the mundane, unfulfilled, unhappy life, or you can take back your power. Because you've been given the gift of free will, and you are not forced by God into a life of misery. You are not forced to do anything that would compromise your divinity. Is that understood? I have supported people over the years and I remember one saying to me, or sharing with me a legacy of her faults and failings and her sinfulness and this, that and the other. And I was beginning to get tired with this because I knew that there was a lot of ego involved. And I said to her, why is that? Because I've come here into this lifetime to suffer for past mistakes. And I could feel the shackles arise at the back of my neck. And I said to her, why would you think that a loving God would bring you back to suffer for past lives? Well, that's what I believe in. I said, well, that's erroneous heresy. You've not been brought back to suffer for past lives. You've been brought back to bring the wisdom of every incarnation you've lived. Learn from it and grow from it. So are you saying that because you're here to suffer, that you embrace suffering, that you go out of the front door and you stop people and say, I want your suffering? That's ego gone rotten. The Father, Mother, God created you and me in love. Created us in love to live a filled life where there's fun, laughter, joy, not misery. So today we have to take back our power and take responsibility for who we are. We are a child of God, not religion. And I'll share with you a story that happened to me now 8 years ago when a lovely, beautiful soul phoned me from Ireland. And she said, Brother Sean, what's the difference between religion and spirituality? And at that moment I was dumbfounded. And I was lost for words. So she said, religion is for those who live in fear of hell. And spirituality is for those of us who've come through hell. And there's your answer. So if you're living a life of fear, there's guilt associated with that. And a lot of baggage. But if you know you've come through a nightmare, you've come through into a new dawn, a dawn of awakening to who you truly are, a child of God, a child who is loved, a child who is not punished and ridiculed in public, a child who's put down. You're a child who is free to embrace. And if you choose not to live the spiritual life in service to God, you won't be loved any less. You'll be loved with the same love. Come back to your true self. Find who you truly are. Embrace it. Celebrate it. And set your heart free. Set your heart free so that you can dance the sacred dance in nature and be a part of it, rather than keep pushing yourself out into the periphery. But listen to the stillness, because in the stillness your soul will be reawakened. And that soul is the gateway to your heart, the gateway to your God. Namaste.